Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. And coming in 2025, I will be launching a membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom Room link, or follow the Zoom Room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life, episode 105. This Thanksgiving week, I first want to say how thankful I am for all of you. I am grateful every day, but it seems especially timely to tell you thank you this week for being part of my community. Today I'm sharing a blog article I wrote this time of year 8 years ago, and it is still spot on now. I was listening to a podcast episode this week myself. The podcast is called The Wirecutter, and it's from the New York Times. It offers, in their description, expert advice on everyday products that will make your life better. And I got to tell you, it is pretty great. The guests and the hosts, it's just awesome. And there was a recent episode called How to Ace Thanksgiving. The co-hosts make every topic fun and engaging, and their guests are experts. I liked this episode so much, I listened to it twice. So one of the guests talked about his Thanksgiving traditions, and you can listen to the episode for specifics. I'm not going down that road. But one of the traditions was created to give his guests something to do. In this case, shucking oysters. They live on the East Coast. While he finished the last 90 minutes of meal prep in the kitchen. And that reminded me of my article, the one that I'm sharing today. And that's called Right Now, What's the Right Thing to Do? Also known as Don't Aggravate Your Loved Ones. So I'm sharing it this week with an update from what else I've learned in the 8 years since it was originally published. So here we go. Right now, what's the right thing to do? Also known as Don't Aggravate Your Loved Ones. In a recent newsletter, I had stated, let me recommend to prepare to host Thanksgiving, focus on organizing and cleaning the most used areas of your home. For a Thanksgiving event, those areas would be the entryway or coat closet, the kitchen, the dining room, maybe the family rooms, and guest bathrooms. I also advised, now is not the time to pull out everything from the attic or garage or basement storage room. Restore order and touch up those public spaces this week and leave the other projects until after Thanksgiving. Apparently, this statement resonated with a number of my readers. Thank you for your comments. One reader specifically asked if I had grown up in her home, as her dad would take the day off before Thanksgiving every year to, in quotations, help, and would instead start a huge and messy project, driving her mother crazy. Every year. One year, she recalled that her dad tore apart the kitchen sink and the cabinet beneath to repair a suspected leak, leaving her mom with a big mess, no kitchen, and no water as she tried to start dinner prep. We all want to help. We all want to act. But sometimes the help and the actions are misguided or off target. We all need priorities and focus and big picture planning with events such as a Thanksgiving dinner, and we don't always have these. My to-do list is long. I may never complete it since I add more tasks to it all the time. But since I always have tasks and to-dos to complete, I have to decide right now what's the right thing to do. Yes, I ask myself that a couple times a day, I would say. Right now, what's the right thing to do? I think this happens to many of us to some extent. We have so many tasks and to-dos and ideas that we want to act upon. We could act all day, but still not get our important work done. So here's how to figure out what's the right thing to do right now. First thing, write things down, right? Write things down either on paper or digitally, ideas and tasks and to-dos. Don't edit them, just write them down. Get them out of your brain. Your busy brain will thank you. Next, after it's all out of your brain, right? Remember that not all actions are created equal. It's often difficult to know what the next step is. Sometimes we feel like we should be doing something, but when we don't think through the process, we just dive into a project or task and we end up making a bigger mess, like my friend's dad. So we need to think first. We need to recognize not all actions are created equal, and we need to act well, right? So what are the important and urgent tasks on our to-do list in front of us? Reminding you and me that the important tasks move us towards our goal and the urgent tasks are time specific. And we're going to talk about those a few more in just a minute. Then again, sometimes the right thing to do right now is also the simplest thing. We tend to overthink things. I know I do. I won't speak for you, but I know I do. And sometimes the right thing to do right now is take a shower or put some clothes on, get a drink of water, make a phone call, make dinner, leave the house, send the email, right? So sometimes it's really just a simple first or next step. Number 3 is to pick today's list. Just today, right? Can't fix all the days, just today. But we want to look at the ongoing to-do list and choose. And I'm going to use an example here. So last week, a client asked if we could come up with a plan for our 3 hours working together that day. And she also wanted to talk through the planning process that I would use so that she could learn. So on her dry erase board, we wrote down all the tasks that were on her mind to complete that day. We checked in and we made sure that those tasks were part of the type of the work that we do together, and if they were important to complete that day. We also asked how long each of those tasks typically takes and how long to allot for it on our plan, right? So for example, we had finished tagging files, and that was 20 minutes approximately. Next, she wanted to file receipts, and she expected that would take about 30 minutes. And then finally, she wanted to hang art in her home office, which she expected to take about 45 minutes. So those realistic time estimates are really important. Next, we determined if any of those tasks were attached to a specific time, like a 3 o'clock conference call or, starting the crock pot to warm dinner 2 hours before dinner time. And then finally, we put the list in order by attaching a number to each item, number 1, number 2, number 3. And also, we moved a few things to the next day's to-do list. And this is a really interesting exercise. It was very helpful for her to see how planning worked. And it really did help us to figure out what the right things to do in our time together were. Now, we did add a few other tasks in, and we did run over on a few of our time estimates. But again, getting in that habit was really, really helpful. And we certainly learned a lot about the process and the client. Number 4, when we're looking to figure out what is the right next thing to do, we want to group similar tasks. A class participant explained how her house seemed to be full of distractions and asked me how to keep focus. We talked about a couple of strategies, and she chose a strategy that looked like this. Set aside a half an hour for house tasks, then another half hour for paying bills, the next half hour for cooking and cleaning up the kitchen, etc. So instead of hopping from task to task without ever feeling like she'd completed a project, she assigned different tasks to blocks of time, and she made those tasks actually happen. Number 5 could be identify what tasks on the list only need elapsed time. What I mean by that is tasks like start the laundry or start the crock pot or the dishwasher or, sending out the emails and asking for responses by a certain day this week. And then once we've started those, we can ignore them and ignore the results until the next time you need to check in, right? So all of those are just starting something and then letting time lapse And then again, checking in a little later on the progress that is made. Next up, we want to communicate. We want to communicate with the folks around us, whether at home or at work, because, you and I may feel some tasks or our part of the overall plan are very high priority, of course, but someone else may see other tasks and other parts as higher priority. And you may both be correct. That's okay. But communication will help everyone get the right things done. Finally, as we are looking at this big project of Thanksgiving or any other project this week, what we need to do is also make an after Thanksgiving or even a January list now. Looking at all the tasks and to-dos on the master list, determine which ones can wait. So today I was reminded that I need to make an annual doctor appointment for February or March, but I can absolutely wait until January to make that call. And I wrote it down on the January list so I won't forget, and I will worry about it then. And now I want to add the addendum, like I said, an addendum to this 8-year-old article, since I have learned more in life in that time. I hope we do, right? My goodness. So, and again, all of this can be specific to Thanksgiving or any other large events or projects that you need to complete, perhaps with collaboration. If you are the planner, the host, the implementer, well, you are my people. That is obviously me as well. And in the same way that we don't want to aggravate our loved ones by starting on the wrong projects, we can also be better about asking for help so they don't start the wrong projects either. We are the planners and the hosts and the implementers, and we can communicate the plan to others. We can be rock solid in our planning, and we can clearly communicate the plan. We can look closely and ask ourselves if our expectations of ourselves and others are realistic or not, and we can adjust if we need to. We can also ask for help and be open to others lending a hand. And we can be ready to have grace and be flexible if things don't go exactly as planned. Each of those statements work with the "what's the right thing to do right now" question as well. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Now is a great time to gain support around finishing 2024 strong and setting ourselves up to succeed in 2025. And that is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.